Hello, I'm Shane Johnson on the School of Hollywood.
Great to have you here on School of Hollywood. I got to tell you, you are one evil attorney on the TV show, dude. I got to ask you, do people come up to you on the street and ask you, are you really like that in real life?
I think that what I get is a lot of people, a lot of hate mail, a lot of hate sort of thrown at me. And then usually, once I engage with people, which I often do, I try to talk to as many fans as I can and get to as many comments as I can. Almost immediately, it changes. Like people go from going, "I want to kill you. If I ever see you, I'm gonna punch you in the throat," whatever, to going like, "Oh my God, you responded. I'm such a huge fan. I love the show." So I think what it is I think it's very interesting. Our show in particular, or maybe it's just this generation, but I feel like our show in particular, people love to sort of blur the lines between fiction and reality, um, in an emotional way. If you actually ask them point blank, nobody believes that what we're doing up there, that's who we are. Nobody thinks that Tariq is, that Michael Rainey Jr. is actually Tariq, but they kind of find a pleasure in treating us like we're the characters, right? But the second we
Right.
kind of, break the fourth wall, as it were, and sort of turn to them and say, "Oh, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate your comment." They go like, "Oh my God, you're talking to me, and you play that character, and now I see you as a human being." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. What kind of prep do you do to create your character for the show? Did you study lawyers or did you work with an acting coach or it was natural for you coming about the character?
Well, I'm a prick in real life, and so it was really easy for me. So I think, I mean, I've been at this a long time. I've been at this a long time. I started acting when I was 14, doing plays and stuff like that, and then my first professional gig was Saving Private Ryan. We shot that in 1996, and so I've been at this a long time, and I've always been studying. I have a mentor that I work with. His name is Richard Lawson. He's a great acting teacher, great actor in his own right, and has an incredible resume. But the to answer your question specifically, I tried. The first thing I had to do was go, don't judge this guy. As the actor, if I like when I'm casually talking to you right now, I can be like, I'm a prick, or he's a prick, or he's an ass, or whatever.
Yeah,
But in reality, when I get in there and I'm doing the job, I can't have a judgment on Cooper Sacks because Cooper Sacks is the hero of his own story.
right.
You know, And so what I did is my wife actually has a cousin who is a U.S. attorney in Kansas City. And so when I first booked the job, this is 9 years ago now,
Yeah.
I went in and I had all these questions for him because a lot of this stuff just didn't quite make sense to me. Because in my mind, when I thought of a lawyer, I didn't think of somebody that was like showing up at crime scenes and doing the kind of investigative things that we do and interrogating witnesses and things like that. And so I wanted to. I had all these questions for him. I was like, look, so they have me doing all these things in these scripts. Is this something that a U.S. attorney would really do? And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely, and walked me through all the kinds of tearing apart the mob, and which is something that happened in Kansas City, and kind of regaled me with a lot of stories about how they would get involved in cases. And so it kind of gave me the freedom to go, I can kind of, as long as you're after justice and you kind of walk that line of what's legal and what's not legal, you can get away with quite a bit, and you can push pretty hard on a case.
Do you ever feel that you push the character a little too hard and then have to try to figure out how to pull it back so the audience still likes you?
Well, they never liked me. Um,
No, that's not true. You're the favorite villain.
but here's what is interesting about the character, because for me, one of the things that I for a long time prided myself on, I mean, I prided the character on rather, is that he never broke the law. First 4 or 5 seasons, he was a jerk and he was a thorn in Angela's side and he was trying to take the heroes of the show down. But he was never breaking the law. He was just like a dog with a bone and was being creative within the law. Whereas season 5, I believe, he starts to kind of go, you know what, this isn't working. I might have to like plant some evidence. I might have to, maybe lie about something or maybe fabricate something here to get justice. But so then I stopped priding myself on that because I crossed that line. And then I moved to priding myself on this, which is he's out for justice. Cooper Saxe wants justice. And you may hate him because you're like, yeah, but we like Tariq. I'm like, yeah, but he also is a murderer and a drug dealer, et cetera, et cetera. And so he's out. I'm out for justice. Same thing with, trying to take Ghost down. Leave Ghost alone. Leave Ghost alone. I'm like, I get it. As a fan of the show, I totally get it. As the character, this guy's a serial killer. I mean, he killed in one episode. I think he went around and killed like 12 guys. I mean, this guy's a serial killer. You know what I mean? So, so my duty as so it's funny because I am a fan of the show and I get the other aspect of it. But then when I'm playing this part, I've got to go, hey man, this guy is out. He's out for justice, and now the justice is just it's a little bit more vigilante justice now than before. It was on the straight and narrow, and now it's a little bit more vigilante.
Great. I love how you've developed this character. After being on the show, do you trust lawyers?
Not really. Not really. I mean, it would have to be a specific lawyer. I think that the thing you're dealing with when you deal with lawyers is their expertise. First of all, you can get a shitty lawyer or you can get an amazing lawyer, and then also, you're getting their own point of view. It's like everything. And maybe I'm saying this partially because everything just feels so politicized right now that the law should be blind. The scales of justice, right? The justice has the blindfold on, and I feel like that's the way it should be. And I feel like you're really hard pressed to find somebody that's actually like that.
When you started on Power, did you have to do a network test for it?
Well, yes, kind of, because when I first auditioned for Ghost or for Power, I was up for the role of Tommy, which was, I knew right away. I was like, wow, this is kind of a stretch for me, but being an actor, you sink into whatever's given to you. Mm-hmm. So I did my version of Tommy, which is a lot different than Cooper Saxe and not nearly as cool as what Joe Sikora is doing. But that's the part that I was up for first, and that's when I met the casting director. Went and met with Courtney and met with the producers, and that's where that happened. And then like 3 weeks passed, I didn't hear anything. And then they brought me in for Greg Knox, who was Angela's boyfriend that ended up getting killed. And then I didn't hear anything for another few weeks. And then they brought me in for Cooper Saxe. And so to answer your question, yes, but not for Cooper Saxe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you originally get started in acting? Did your parents, push into it, or did you do it on your own?
No, I was kind of always really into entertaining people and making. I thought that I was going to grow up and be a comedian more. I thought I would make funny material, and so I sort of fell in love with acting when I was about 14. I did my first play, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I was playing Snoopy. And that's the response I got from the audience and the feeling of creating something that other people could taste and feel and enjoy was exhilarating. And I think that's when I really fell in love with it. but like I said, when I came to Hollywood, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make comedies, and that has not happened.
Do you find that after you've done 4 or 5 dramas that you have a tendency not to get called in for them, or is it just that
Well, I think
you don't get the opportunity because you're busy?
I think it's a combination of things, but I think one of the things that all actors, um, it's funny, people get really frustrated with their casting. You know, it's not very often that I don't think it's very often when an actor feels in his heart and in his soul the exact same way that he looks
Hmm.
and, and sounds. Um, but to a casting director and to producers, one of the most impactful um, selling points is you just walking in the door, you know? And so people look at me and hear me talk and see my mannerisms and stuff, and they judge. It's just human nature. We just kind of go, oh, this guy's, you know, middle-aged white guy who's college educated and is arrogant, and I know where to cast him. But in my heart and in my spirit, I might be something totally different, you know.
Right, right.
And so my point to you is I think a lot of actors like classically I remember hearing that Philip Seymour Hoffman always wanted to really be a leading man. And he was this incredible actor who could do all these things, but he wasn't really a leading man. And frustrated that he couldn't, you know, that he wasn't getting those opportunities instead of just being happy with the career that he had. Right? And so I think I'm able to do both. I'm really happy with the career that I have. I feel like as my star rises, I will get other opportunities. I'll get opportunities to flex other muscles that are maybe something that are closer to my heart, but not something that the audience necessarily goes, "Oh, we need to see Shane do a comedy." But you know, that's what I want to do.
Speaking of flexing your muscles, has 50 Cent talked to you about doing a rap record?
That would be hysterical.
Actually, my thought on it, because I've worked in the music business for many years, is that you come in and you're the lawyer, taking some rap lines as a lawyer and putting it into the song.
That would be
You
good.
might want to run that by him.
Yeah, yeah.
Could make
I like
a couple extra $1 million.
little legal rap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got the opportunity to work with Steven Spielberg and Saving Private Ryan. What was it like working with the god of movies?
Well, you know, I'll say it was kind of surreal, especially for my first job. I was like maybe 20 years old. Um, Not just working with Spielberg, but all the other talent that was in there. You know, from Giovanni Ribisi, Tom Hanks. We why am I blanking on his name right now? From Fast and Furious, I can't think of his name. Um, Groot,
Uh,
huh? Vin
uh,
Diesel. Vin Diesel.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Adam Goldberg, you know, which is just incredible. Barry Pepper. I mean, it was just on and on the cast. And, you know, God, Matt Damon, Nathan Fillion. I mean, it was just so many people in that cast. Um, but working with Spielberg was pretty awesome. I remember specifically um, sitting underneath the tents there because we were in Ireland. We shot all the beach stuff in Ireland, and I was just sitting there by myself underneath one of these tents to protect us from the weather. And he comes up and sits beside me. He's like, "Hey, soldier, how you doing?" And just struck up a conversation. And I'm sitting there, it was pretty surreal. I'm just sitting here chilling, talking with Spielberg while he was like sketching on a napkin something. Um, and we BS'd about his daughter, because I was going to school in London at the time. I was studying at Lambda, and his daughter happened to be at RADA at the same time, and so we kind of connected over that. And it was like I was talking to my uncle, and it was really kind of surreal. And then what is it? Kaminsky, the DP, came up and asked him a question, and he handed him the napkin he was sketching on, and like the iconic shot that he has in there, and I felt like he just handed it to him and was like, "Here, do this." And I mean, he's a genius, and it was you know, for my part in it, I didn't have a lot to do in the movie, if I'm being real. But I was there for 3 weeks, and I got to work with all those guys and be around it, and got to have Spielberg yell at me a few times, which was nice. It was cool because like there's this shot, like the shot that you would remember me from if you knew the movie well would be that bit where the sound is like vacuumed out of the movie, and
Okay.
Tom Hanks is kind of like looking around on the beach, and you see like the guy with picking up his own arm and that whole thing. Like I'm the pure faced. I mean, I was like 19, 20 at the time. Um, that I shake Tom Hanks out of that sort of thing. I'm like, what the hell are we supposed to do? And he's like, what? And so then it comes back to real time, and he's dealing with me and a couple other soldiers on the beach, and the thing is like if the shot is like this, it's my face just filling the frame, and nobody else was there when we shot it. It was just Spielberg with a bullhorn and a camera operator, and then me on the other side, and he was just yelling at me through a bullhorn. And the thing that was kind of wild is I was terrified. I wasn't acting. I was just terrified and just saying the lines, and he was yelling, and so I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right, and so I was scared, and I think that eventually that's really really wanted was because I just looked terrified. Because
it probably was.
I was. Um, but but listen, that was one of those things that was a now I want to get back to that. I want to get back to it. Obviously in a different part, but working with him or the likes of him is certainly the goal, and I really want to get back into making movies.
When you were working on the film and you had these big A-list name actors in there, did you pick up anything from them, being a young actor?
The thing that I thought was most interesting and a life lesson to me about the industry, and you're an example of it, is these guys are self-starters, and they were not just waiting for the phone to ring. I mean, you have almost all those names I mentioned. Like Vin Diesel was hired because Spielberg went to Sundance or Slamdance and saw a movie that he wrote, produced, and starred in and directed, and was like, this guy's amazing, and went to the writer, Robert Rodat, went to the writer and said, you got to write him a part, and just wrote a part and put Vin Diesel in that movie when he wasn't in the movie to start with, and the rest is history for him. And the same with Adam Goldberg and Barry Pepper, and certainly a big one is the New York sort of the brothers McMullen. I can't think of
Not Ed Burns.
Yeah, Ed Burns.
Yeah.
And thank you. And so a lot of those guys were doing those things at the time. They were, Giovanni has a whole production company that he has, that he does, that he is writing and producing and finding material, and a lot of those guys were doing that. And to me, that was the biggest lesson, because getting the right agent, being in the right place at the right time, auditioning for the right role, having somebody recognize that you're the right guy. Like there's a lot of navigating, threading needles in order to find that. But if you're somebody that goes, I want to make this, and nothing's going to stop me. Let me use my relationship map. Let me connect with this person that I know, and we need a little bit of money. Where can we get it? We know this guy, we know that guy. These people probably believe in this project. And you just coalesce something together outside of the studio system if you have to, and just make something cool. This world right now especially is all about content, right?
Absolutely.
It's about content. People need content. From Amazon to Netflix to Hulu, everybody wants content. And so, and if you can look around right now and see not just one, not just two, but a bunch of examples of people like the gal from Issa Rae from Insecure. She had something on YouTube that she was doing, and then she ends up with her own show. Because she's just like,
Well,
I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to make material that I'm passionate about,
I think a lot of young actors, they pass on doing short films, and I know you've done some in the past, and it's a great opportunity for them to get the exposure. What are your thoughts on the short films?
I think that I've done a few short films, I've done them because I've liked the people I was working with, or I believed in the project, the content of the project. The trouble with, and you can correct me on this. This is just my personal point of view. Nobody's ever said this to me, and I could be totally full of shit. But when it comes to short form stuff like that, um, you're pretty limited on what you can do with it once it's done. You know,
True.
you can hit the
Absolutely.
festival circuit. If you're doing a short as a proof of concept for something bigger, that you want to use that as a tool to go and raise money and say, look what we can do. Give us $200,000 and let us go make a feature or whatever. You know, that's I get that. But if you're just out making shorts with your friends, it's awesome for the experience and to get to work with a camera and to see how you come across on camera and to interact with other people and to figure out filmmaking as especially when you're in the beginning. But after a while, it's kind of like if I were to do a short film right now, I would have to someone would have to explain to me, unless I really just loved it and wanted to go have a good time. Someone would have to really sorry about the dog. Someone would have to explain to me, um, what the what the benefit would be to me. You know, time wise, because I'm a
Yeah, yeah.
you know, if I were listen, if I'm 25 and I don't have a wife and kids and a dog and a mortgage and stuff, yeah, I'll go do short films. Sure, you should go do short films. Listen, when I first got my start, when I first was getting going here in L.A., I was in Backstage West doing stuff for free. But I starred in a feature film for free. They didn't pay me anything, but I had the experience of that, you know. And you had the hopes of like, oh, we might do festivals and stuff. It never did anything, but I had the experience of being on set, of getting to work with other actors, of seeing a film come together, of being a lead in a movie, which I wasn't gonna probably at that point go out and do without that opportunity, you know. So I think if anything, it's a good training ground.
And it's also a great demo reel. It gives you a demo reel for an actor
Yeah,
who doesn't have one as well, too. And you can take some risks that you may not necessarily be able to do on another kind of a film.
yeah. I mean, I think that
Um,
the concept, like you're saying about demo reel stuff, is really important. I think because everything's digital and everything's so fast now, you've got to have material. You got to be able to, um, even if it's not material that is known, you know, if it's something that you wrote or a friend wrote, um, I think that where things fall down is quality. Because if you send me your reel and I can tell in the reel that it's a bunch of like student projects sort of vibe, shot on an iPhone sort of vibe, which is fine if you do it right, because you can shoot something on an iPhone and it can look professional, but you can also shoot something on an iPhone and it looks like somebody shot it on an iPhone.
absolutely.
So, and a big part of it is sound. You know, we will forgive like an interesting sort of camera footage if the sound is on point. But a lot of times you watch somebody's reel, and once the sound sort of gets a little tinny or a little, doesn't sound like it's mixed right, and the colors aren't quite right, you start to go, oh, this is something they shot, and you don't want somebody that is going to potentially hire you to be thinking about quality and to be thinking about what it is. You just want them to be focused on like, holy shit, this guy or girl can really act. Like, oh, I love this scene. What's this from? This is amazing. That's what you want them to be saying. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Are you on social media at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on. I'm not great at Twitter. I'm not great at. I'm 45, so I'm going backwards and trying to be 25 again. But I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Shane_M_Johnson. And I think if you type in
Great.
Shane Johnson, I'm probably the first person that shows up with a blue check mark. Um, but that's where I'm at usually.
Do you have anything in the works that additionally we can look out for?
Yeah, I just my wife and I both actually just shot a film, like a zombie apocalypse film in Hawaii, which was so much fun. And then I'm really excited about a project that I'm writing. Speaking of do it yourselfers, I'm writing a project with a friend that I went to Lambda with in London. Um, and I'm hoping to connect with a bunch of my friends that I've made over the years and produce it. And you'll hopefully see some people from the Power universe in it too.
Well, it's great having you here today on the School of Hollywood. You've given some great insight to actors out there. We'll definitely embrace what you said and look forward to seeing more evil with you on TV.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it, man.